Yeah, I don't know. Dad said like he
Yeah, it just dipped on us.
just probably what do you say? Probably
Probably bailing or something like that. It probably can't be there.
it's possible I'll be out tonight. Um I lost Chad. Welcome to the Showboys podcast. It is just the Showboy that is here. All the other boys are gone. The last man standing, sitting. Oh, literally, his dad like or Chad like crashes back to his desk.
Sorry. I realized I didn't have any water. I was like, that's not gonna fly. And then I
Yeah.
absolutely just completely and utterly fucking obliterated my knee on the table on the way through. But we're here. We're ready. We're back.
We're back. We're back. We're here. We're live. We're not live. We're recording. You know, shout out our awesome patrons, Tim B, Yusuf H, and the Hall of Famer, Joe C. Right, no longer top tier patron, but you were one long enough. You get the shout outs just forever. I'll add that as a perk to our patron. If you are a patron for so long, yeah, you just forever get a shout out, permanent shout out. On every episode. Chad, how are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. My knee hurts. I know that much. Yeah, that was a good crack I gave it.
That'll probably make it into the episode in some fashion.
Probably.
You and Brady are talking about doing some content. So I think you're coming around, coming out of the hole.
Coming out of my zombie phase that I've been in. Yeah.
Does Brady got like a laundry list of like things he wants to podcast about?
Oh yeah, always. Yep. It was his idea for the playoff thing. We also started watching a new anime, so probably do one on that. We totally just forgot about Madden this year. Like we started a season of Madden like we do every year. And then we just kind of fizzled off. That there were so many different distractions, especially like they had VR headsets and everybody got new games and new stuff. And so it just kind of fell by the wayside. But yeah, I'd like to get back to that before football season's over, at least. It's just coming to a close. So
I guess so I've been wanting. So obviously we have shows that we like watch. So like we got Apple Plus because we got that for Monarch, and because of the PS5, I have 3 free months of Apple Plus, which is awesome.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So we've been watching the morning show as a Steve Carell, Jennifer Aniston. Really good show. I like it. I'd watch it without my wife, but it's really fun to watch with the wife. But I need like a filler anime to like watch in like 20-30 minute spurts, like when I'm not trying to watch like an hour long show. So I don't know if I should rewatch things that I like obviously Blue Eyed Samurai would be a good one. All the classic like rewatch. I want to rewatch Arcane. Or if you start like a new one. I need to finish the Viking one. I don't think I've watched season 2.
Vinland Saga.
Yeah, Vinland Saga.
So we tried to watch season 2.
It's drastically different. I think
it at least starts drastically. I don't know how it ends. You know, we watched like 3 or 4 episodes of it, and it's very freaking slow in the beginning. The first couple episodes are brutally slow, and it seems like I heard that this season was all about being like a pacifist. You know what I mean? So like maybe that's why it feels that way. But I heard it's really good, and it won Anime of the Year from several different publications. Wow. So I need to get back to that one for sure. But you should check out Jujutsu Kaisen. I think you would like, especially knowing that you're like a Dragon Ball guy. I think you would like Jujutsu Kaisen for sure. So that might be the one you throw on your list, or maybe I'm trying to think, because there is a prequel movie but like every prequel, it has the problem of should you watch that first or should you watch it when it was released, right?
Yeah.
And I kind of think maybe you should watch it when it's released. But Jujutsu Kaisen's great, and that's the anime that we're gonna start season 2. We've watched several episodes of it already. Need to get back to it, but yeah, it's great. It's really good. And then Demon Slayer obviously is phenomenal. Even if you watch like here's what I always do with Brady when we're trying to find a new anime to watch. We always pick like 6 of them that we're interested in. And then we go watch the pilots for each of them. And then we go back and decide which one we want to continue. And that's how we've picked every one that we've done for Patreon. So that's what you should do. You should watch the first episode of Demon Slayer, first episode of Jujutsu Kaisen, and then decide which one. And I'm sure I probably could pick out more for you. Oh, Death Note. Did you ever watch Death Note?
Yeah.
Okay, Death Note's great. Yeah.
Yeah. I've watched Death Note. That was actually one of the very early ones I've watched. Do you watch Demon Slayer or Kaizen like dubbed or subbed?
I watch everything dubbed.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to rewatch just because it was so spaced out when they released seasons, but Attack on Titan, I want to like watch all the way through.
So we were talking when we were in Tybee over the summer. I was with my cousin who's really into anime as well, and I was telling him the story about us trying to watch Attack on Titan, and we got to the part where the dude like blows his head off, and I was like, okay, we're done here. But he was like, yeah, I honestly think Brady could probably watch Attack on Titan. Like that's like, yeah. I don't have I have a problem with that specific type of violence.
Yeah.
Like there specifically, I don't have really any problem with like human on monster violence, or depending on the capacity of it, human on human animated violence. I don't really have that big of a problem with either.
Yeah.
But yeah, what do you think
for Attack on
Titan? Yeah.
I mean,
because I'm so interested in it, and I honestly do. We watched like that was probably like episode 3 or 4, and I was loving it, absolutely loving it.
No, it's awesome, and it's just the story is so cool, and the way it goes through it, like, as every season's like definitely different, right? And I watched it subbed because the dubbed version of the main character is horrible. And
you watched the whole thing subbed?
Yeah.
Really? Wow.
Because generally all of the voice acting is way better in the sub. And the main character, the first 2 seasons, he's younger. It's like painful, like nails on chalkboard listening to this dude yell the whole time.
Yeah.
It's bad.
So
because it was dubbed, but I was talking with one of my friends about it, and she was like, yeah, you just have to, we had the same problem. We just watch it subbed. And it's fine. And I do enjoy watching certain things subbed because it does add to it, right? It's kind of like watching like an old samurai movie where it's subbed, and
right.
There's a different level of like you're paying attention and like you're invested in it because like you're in it, you're reading,
you're in it, right? Yeah. So I am. This is something my cousin gives me crap for all the time because I do watch dub, and that's like in the anime fandom. That's like a no, really.
It's not pure. You're not a purist.
Yeah, you're not a purist if you're not watching it. And I will say that while in the past I was like absolutely against watching anything in a different language, I'm definitely more open to it now. Like I wouldn't play games in different languages.
Yeah.
I've now played several Japanese games in different languages, but I will say that there have been voices, even in Demon Slayer, that I preferred way more because we watched Demon Slayer season 3 while it was airing, which is only subtitled until the dub comes out, a year later or whatever. So we were watching it, and then we went back and watched it again when the dub came out. And the English voice for some of the demons in season 3 is like horrendous compared to what they were in the subtitled version. And the same thing happened to me with Like a Dragon, the man who erased his name, which is the Yakuza, the newest Yakuza game. Not the newest, because there's a new one that just came out. The one that came out right before that. It's the first time that it's like a epilogue story to the main character from the Yakuza games after all the events of those. And it's the very first time that he's ever had a dub. He's ever had an English voice actor. So I was like, hell yes, because I even though I've played a lot of games that are in Japanese at this point, that's a big hurdle to get through 6 games that are in that, and 6 lengthy games in the Yakuza, like 40, 50 hours a piece. So I was amped when I heard that he was getting an English voice actor, and it's horrendous, bro. It is so bad, so terrible, like to the point where I almost was like just gonna switch to the Japanese because it's bad.
Yeah, I don't believe in being like a purist for the sake of being a purist. I think that's a little bit too like elitish, and like gatekeepy. But really, like generally, what sounds better, and I think that's really important. Because obviously, like Dragon Ball, like all the English actors are just way better. Or it's just like definitely a used to thing, just because we all grew up with like the English dub, because that's how it got big over here. Not that I've definitely read a lot of preference where people do debate like the different tones it gives off depending on whether you watch it subbed or dubbed.
It does. It gives off, not only does it give off different tones, but there are sometimes the sentence is totally different from the subtitled version to the dubbed version.
Yeah.
So it's like, what? Why? Like there are some things in Demon Slayer that are almost radically different between the subtitles and the dub. So that I don't understand, but I think that we have come a long way with the English dubs, like especially from like the 90s Dragon Ball stuff or Gundam or any of that stuff. We've come a long way with the English voice acting, I think. I think the English voice now that voice actors here are more prominent because they're in video games, right? We have probably more of them than we did in the past. But it does seem like there's like 10 of them, doesn't it? Like they just do the voices for everything. Like Troy Baker, like is it for video games? He's like in every single video game that I play. I feel like.
Yeah, and if you ever if you follow like the Funny Science Fiction podcast, because they always have tons of voice actors on there as guests, and it's always funny too, because that's how they'll be like, hey, we're talking to like so and so, and I don't know any, like I'm not really good with names when it comes to voice actors, but like they'll list all like, you know, you'll know them from like 10 different things. I'm like, holy crap. I'm like, that's the same person. It is incredible.
So it's funny because
but like Mark Hamill, like he's legendary.
He's like prime example.
He's like the most legendary American voice actor, just
he
for
is.
some odd reason. He's just
for
goated.
Sure. That's his work on Joker probably got him that one for sure. But it's funny because like I'm starting to become like hypersensitive to voice actors as well. So Brady is really good at this. He picks out voice actors all the time. He'll be like, yeah, that's this from whatever. He did it for what was the Marvel movie that was like the Kung Fu dude? Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi,
Yeah, the female, the like comic relief female in that, he picked
Aquafina?
her voice out as the voice of the dragon from one of the
Disney one.
Yeah, it's a Disney movie. And he was like, I've heard that before. I'm pretty sure that's whatever.
She has a very distinct voice, though.
And I looked it up.
She's a very distinct person.
She does. So I'm starting to become hypersensitive to that. So I'm playing through Persona 3 Reload comes out in 7 days. I'm super excited for it. It's literally the game I pitched in our pitch episode. So I'm replaying Persona 4. It's the first time I've ever replayed Persona 4. I played it one time. It's just one of those games that was perfect, and I didn't want to touch it like The Last of Us. So I'm replaying through it. But Yosuke in the game, which is like your best friend throughout the game, his voice actor is the same voice actor that does Peter Parker in the Spider-Man games, and I can't unhear it now. I can't unhear him. Like, that's Peter Parker. You know what I mean? Even though I played Persona first, you would think Peter Parker would be Yosuke, but it's not. Like, it's so bizarre. I'm like getting hypersensitive to it. I was like, dude, I know this voice from somewhere, and I had to look it up.
It's funny we're talking about voice acting. So like my son, my almost 4-year-old son, he is, I don't know how we landed on it, but like we have been watching the Ice Age movies. Like he laughs his ass off at the Ice Age movies. I remember like the first two, right? But there's 5 of them plus like a ton of like filler content.
Right.
Grat has his own like little mini series that's released last year or something. But yeah, like it's funny. It's got good humor. But I've learned so many things about Ice Age just between me Googling it, but then also just like hearing all the voice acting that happens in there.
Yeah.
One, it's like, so whatever studio that made it, like it's the only thing they've ever made and ever made well at that too. Is their first movie, and it's obviously been their biggest thing. And then Disney
Right.
got it, the Fox acquisition a few years back. So I was like, why is it on Disney? I didn't think this was Disney.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's like third or fourth highest grossing animated franchise of all time.
Really interesting. I didn't
Like
know that.
it's like above Frozen. It like is dancing with Toy Story. Like it's insane.
Wow. Yeah.
But like there's 5 of them, but they don't not do well. Like they all like trend between 500 and $1 billion like dollars from the
Wow.
box office alone. So I'm like,
Yeah.
one, I guess I've been sleeping on like the newer Ice Ages because up till 5, like they're all decently good. But what is cool is because obviously they had a ton of voice actors for a ton of characters sit between like not in the past 5-10 years, but like 2005 to like 2015.
Yeah.
You hear all these voices, you're like, I know this person, but like Josh Gad, like who is Olaf in Frozen, is in like 4, and you start picking out all these voices of these people when they were more like kind of up and coming, and it's just really cool.
Yeah.
And then now that's what I do. Like I listen to those movies. I'm like, because at first I was like in the first one, I was like, I have to remember like, that's obviously Ray Romano, and then start filling in all the characters. But then like there's been a ton of like big name people that have done parts in those movies.
Yeah. It's it's just something that I've been like super hypersensitive to here. Even Troy Baker is in Persona 4 Golden. I didn't know that either. I heard his voice in there.
Hey, he's got to make a living.
Even though he has like a plethora of huge roles that he's played in video games, he, for whatever reason, even though he should be probably Joel in my mind from The Last of Us, he is Sam from Uncharted 4. Like when I hear his voice, that's what I hear is Nathan Drake's brother. So yeah, it's just it's bizarre, but I'm like getting to the point where I'm like, dude, I almost can't do it anymore because I recognize their voice as someone else. It's like when you see like James Gandolfini, for prime example, will always be Tony Soprano to me. So he can be the CIA director in Zero Dark 30. He's still Tony Soprano dressed up as a CIA director. You know what I mean? Same with Michael Chiklis, who plays Tom Cruise, prime example. Yeah.
He's always going to be Tom Cruise everywhere he goes.
Everywhere he goes, he's going to be Tom Cruise. But Michael Chiklis from The Shield, he's the main character in The Shield, the bald cop.
That's what I should start watching.
Yes, you really should. Yeah, you definitely should watch The Shield. You will love The Shield, I guarantee it. But he'll always be that. So it's funny because after The Shield ended, he went and did like a family sitcom that lasted like a half a season, maybe. I'm like, dude, no, like he's a ruthless, crooked cop. You can't put him in. And that sucks probably for the actor because they hit it big on a role. And then it probably in Mark Hamill outside of voice acting kind of has the same problem with Luke Skywalker, right? He
became like a novelty to
be
anything he's in. Like, well, not anymore. Now that he's old.
Yeah, not now. Yeah, I agree.
Now he's like this like national treasure that like gets to like be in things. But when he was young, yeah, he could not get away from being
right.
Luke Skywalker.
And really Harrison Ford was like the only one that got out of that and went on to do bigger things, right? Most of them were, at least the main group.
He was lucky because he has a lot of just general appeal to a lot of audiences, right? Because like he's handsome, he's a good actor, he's very distinct. Like Harrison Ford is a very distinct person, and even like his personality is just like different. The way he like talks about things. But he was also big on American Graffiti, which was George's first film, right? So and that was a pretty popular movie. So he was already known for something. So he didn't have the same issues that like Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill had.
You definitely need to get on The Shield, man, because especially coming off The Sopranos, and you've not watched Breaking Bad, right?
Correct.
So this is shaping up perfect. This is shaping up perfectly because you almost need to watch The Shield before you watch Breaking Bad.
Okay, I've seen actually season 1 and
of Breaking Bad.
Yeah, and a couple episodes of season 2. But like I have so much like disinterest in it. None of it retains in my brain. Like I can't get hooked on that show. I like just don't see the novelty of it.
Yeah. So
that's why we will have to do a throwback Thursday on it, so we can like really break down what my problem with like Breaking Bad
what your problem with it is.
Yeah.
So much like, I mean, it's like any show you watch nowadays. The Sopranos is a prime example. Breaking Bad probably is the same way too. You gotta just power through the first season while they're figuring out their accents and they're figuring out the budget and the locations are changing. Like the police precinct in the first episode of The Shield is not even remotely close to what it is in the rest of the show. Yeah. So the little things like that. But The Shield, you got to power through. But the problem with The Shield is like and maybe this was wrong for The Sopranos, but anytime I recommended somebody to watch The Sopranos, like try the first season. If you don't like it, just go on to the second season and catch the recap at the beginning of it, because The Sopranos was weird. I think the first season, and we talked about in the Sopranos episode, that's like the only season that I've watched maybe one time. Like I don't know what it is about it. But the problem with The Shield is there's big things that happen in season 1 that will literally last till the 7th season. So you have to watch it. You're not going to get it if you just catch a recap or a YouTube recap or something like that. But dude, I think you'll love it. I think The Shield, dude, is right up there with The Sopranos. It's phenomenal.
Good. Yeah. And that came out because I said I watched Training Day randomly.
Training Day, yeah, right.
I love that movie.
Which is funny because so Training Day and The Shield are both based off of the Rampart Scandal, which is the actual scandal in the LAPD where a bunch of cops got arrested for a bunch of nasty shit back in the 90s. So they're both actually based off of that scandal, and that the original name of The Shield was Rampart, and they thought to distance themselves maybe from the actual scenario, they changed it to The Shield.
Is it? Oh, End of Watch.
End of Watch is a great one too. Yeah, I love End of Watch.
What can I say?
That movie there is probably one of my biggest surprises is End of Watch. Like I picked it up, like rented it randomly. I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna like it, and I ended up that's probably at least top 15 movie for me. I love End of Watch. So I need
to. You can't stream it anywhere, but I do own it on DVD.
Yeah, I own it. Yeah, yeah.
So if I want to watch that, I got dust off the DVD player.
Yeah, great movie. Yeah, The Shield's it's good, dude. It's a phenomenal story, awesome twists, shocking deaths, crooked LA cops. Good. It won. Obviously, it won a bunch of awards, but it also won a bunch of awards for realism depicting gang violence and gang stuff in Los Angeles. So it's a great show, dude. Yeah. Every time that's another one where if I recommend somebody to watch it, they always end up loving it, just like The Sopranos.
Yeah. Now I'm in all the Sopranos Facebook pages, so like that's mostly what my Facebook is just like all those people talking about Sopranos. Like someone will post something like either saying something like it's supposed to be triggering, or just asking a question, or just you know,
Yeah.
hey, rewatching this episode, I noticed, and it's fun to actually just read through because like a lot of it's like pretty decent analysis, and like people actually take it very seriously. Their
Oh yeah,
Sopranos
for sure.
fandom, so that's some of the better communities to like hang out in if you've seen the show, because like
Yeah.
you just get like bits and pieces just from other people rewatching it for the 10th time.
Yeah. It's definitely The Shield has one like that too that I'm on Facebook that posts constantly theories and hey, I watched the same thing. I watched episode 4 of season 3 and I saw this, whatever. But those things are great as long as you have already watched the show before you go do that. Not for
Oh yeah,
spoilers, not for spoilers per se,
yeah,
even though that is a big problem. But it's the Game of Thrones effect, is what I call it, where when Game of Thrones was airing, like seasons 7 and 8, are there 8 seasons? Game of Thrones, 6, 7,
yes,
7 and 8, yeah.
yep.
So like that time frame, the theories that were being put on these things ended up being better than what we ended up getting. So it's always
Yeah.
cool to go back and watch it, but at least for me, in the time that those seasons were releasing, like the fan theories were way better than, and way
Yeah.
deeper and way more intricate than anything that we ended up getting through the final 2 seasons.
Yeah, because
So
my
it's
friend that I was basically talking like, but I would send you and him like the same message as I would work through the
yeah,
episodes, and he would always send me like the memes and stuff from those pages because he was making sure where I was at, and then he would, because he wants to show me them because they're cool, but he's like, I can't show you all of them, and I have to be
right.
careful because some of them are they have spoilers. So he would always be like, "Where you at?" And then he would like send me
Yeah.
some funny things
Yeah.
that would finally make sense to me, or they just don't make sense because you haven't seen it.
Did you? Right. Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Dude,
Did you?
the car ones when Syl and uh um
Adriana.
Adriana are sitting in the
Yeah.
car, like
Yeah.
you
So
wouldn't
good.
get that unless you've seen that. And
Right.
like
Yeah.
it's not a
Absolutely.
spoiler, but
It's
like
not. Yeah.
you don't get it.
You don't get the full. Yeah. You don't get the full effect. Did you? I think the answer to this is no. You didn't watch Sons of Anarchy, did you?
No.
Okay. So another phenomenal show. And the cool thing about that is it's the same writer or showrunner or producer or something from The Shield. So it takes place in kind of the same universe. So there are gangs in Sons of Anarchy that are the gangs from The Shield. And it's cool because all the actors from The Shield popped up in Sons of Anarchy in different roles,
Oh, yeah,
obviously,
yeah.
but they were put in there.
That's also a Hulu stream.
Also Hulu stream. Sons of Anarchy is phenomenal. Very, very, very good.
Well,
Shield's
I like
above
the
it.
main whatever his name is, the main guy in it.
Yeah, it's your dude from what's the big robot movie?
I mean, he's in that. He's
Yeah.
Vikings. He's also
Oh, is he in
in
Vikings?
Warcraft.
Oh, he is in War. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
This is, if you like him, that's his quintessential role is Sons
Yeah.
of Anarchy. That's where he got his big break, and he's phenomenal in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would watch The Shield before that, because then it'll be even cooler when you go and watch, if you ever end up going and watching Sons of Anarchy, because some of the gangs are the same. You'll hear similar names. It's cool. But you're lucky now, because up until like three or 4 years ago, The Shield was virtually unwatchable because of the way that it was filmed. It's filmed in a very different, I don't even know how to explain it, dude. It's very grainy. It's very up, like they're right in the actors' faces, but they went through and up-resed it for Blu-ray, and it like fixed basically all the
Okay.
problems that made it difficult to go back and watch it coming from
It was on TV,
the way
though,
shows
right?
are. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing is most, and like you hear this when you talk about like the IMAX stuff or when they shoot it on the 70 millimeter film. So like that's
Yeah.
like the ridiculous stuff. But like there's like standards. So like the film that like most things are shot on is millions light years better than like what TV could keep up with. So it
Right.
sounds like they just had like the TV version just out there, and like someone has to dig up like the legit film
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
just
And that could be it.
reprocess that.
But it's even like it's mostly the camera angles. It's filmed in a
Yeah.
very, I don't want to say like a Blair Witch Project style, because that's not what it's filmed in. It's not filmed like End of Watch or anything like that. But it's a very jumpy camera, and there's just it's just whatever it is, it makes it difficult to go from where we are watching shows and how they are
Yeah.
filmed today to going back to that. But I think the Blu-ray kind of fixed all that.
That's good.
That stuff. And yes, it was on TV, but dude, if I told you that show was on HBO, you would probably believe it, because
But it was,
there's
what was
some
that,
dark
like
shit.
NBC?
FX.
FX? Okay.
Yeah.
That's a little better.
Yeah. So
But
it's,
still, it
I
was
mean,
like cable then. It was like a
yeah,
cable
it got a lot of
tier.
shit back in the day for some of the stuff that they were showing, for
It's
sure.
real though.
Yeah.
That's the only reason, because they were like, it's not a lie.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
it
not.
really is.
It's not. We're not making this up.
And it's funny because for all the vile fucked up shit that happens in that show that the cops do, the Rampart Scandal is maybe more messed up. so
Yeah.
It's almost like it's dumbed down a little bit. But yeah, phenomenal show, dude. And you'll grasp onto those characters probably just as much as you do the Sopranos characters, because they're great. They're absolutely great.
That can be my next.
That needs to be your big,
my next big throwback watch.
Yeah, because I could talk about The Shield all day long, dude. We could do.
Yeah, there's a lot on Apple Plus though to watch through, and I know I've always known that ever since Mike started like watching everything on there.
Yep.
So you can have to strategically move through that, but then I guess find a Hulu subscription. I think I have one.
Yeah.
Somewhere, but I just hate ads. That's my only problem.
Yeah. So I don't have ads on my Hulu.
Right. It's you don't have, you can pay for to not have ads.
Yeah. I started watching, I actually finished the first season. I never watched it before. True Detective.
Oh yes.
because
First season is my favorite. Is a top 3 single season of anything
really
that exists.
Really nice. Yeah, I think it was great, dude. So I have a weird history with True Detective. So I actually watched season 2 of True Detective. Now I get that every time that I talk to somebody.
It wasn't horrible, but it definitely wasn't 1. That's the problem with 2.
And from my point of view, I hadn't watched 1, so I didn't know that. I was like, this is, and I'm an LA cop nut, and that's where it takes place, is in California, Southern California. So I was all about it. And then the new season came out, and I keep seeing ads for Night Country all over the place. I'm like, yeah, dude, I don't know, this looks really good. So I watched the first episode at work with a guy who's really trying to get me to watch it. I'm like, all right, I'll watch it. And have you watched the first episode or any of it? No. Yeah, the setting is just so cool, dude. The setting of the show is one of,
it's supposed to be like up there with the first season. Like that's what they're trying to show it out as, is like, if you like the first season, come back.
So that's funny that you say that, because that's where I'm going here. So I watch that first episode, and there's a show called Helix that was about I don't want to spoil Night Country for you. So it's got the same setting as this.
Yeah.
And I loved it. The show itself, it's pretty meh. It's like a zombie outbreak kind of show, but the setting is where it really, I fell in love with it. And this has the same setting. So I knew I was gonna love it. I watched the first episode. I was like, holy shit! Like that was really good. And he's like, now you got to go back and watch the first season because you haven't watched the first season. I was like, all right, let's do it. So we watched it all at work. Phenomenal, dude. So good. I love Matthew
you can,
McConaughey. So
yeah.
anything he's in, man, I eat it up.
That's when
But
those like you can easily binge that show because you don't want to put it down.
yeah,
Like it's 8 hours, but it's like you can watch that in one day.
oh,
If
dude,
you
yeah, we
wanted.
did. Yeah, we did. And it's funny because I had tried in the past to get to watch that first season multiple times throughout the past. And the first 2 episodes are kind of slow. And I think that's where I was getting hung out. I was like, it's just kind of man. And this was before my love affair with Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
And now that I have that obviously got me over the hump. But
Time
yeah,
is a
it's
flat
great.
circle, my friend.
And now I'm getting and now I'm getting articles that are saying that the new season is a direct sequel to the first season of True Detective. So
That's
I'm
the
like,
way to
shit,
do it.
good thing that I went back and watched that before I started watching this more because now I might know what's going on, right? But yeah, those 2, man, Matthew
Dude.
McConaughey and what's the other dude's name?
It's Woody Harrelson.
Woody Harrelson, so good together. So good
Amazing.
together. Yeah,
Amazing.
they are great. Absolutely great.
McConaughey's prolific in that role.
Absolutely.
Like it's insane.
Absolutely. Especially his his flash forward, like the present day scenes in the interrogation room. So good, dude. Every time that popped up, that was like top tier acting. Like he was so good in that. So I can't wait to see what they do with the new season and how it connects, because I have theories. But
I own the first season on Blu-ray. Like I had to own it. So it was great.
Yeah. I think I did you watch season 3?
No. I've always considered it, but like nothing ever drove me to watch it because no one ever talked about it. It was always just like, whatever. So I've never watched season 3.
Yeah, I haven't either. But I know that season 2 is like hated by, and I think the story that I heard, and I don't know if it's true or not, but the guy at work said that whoever wrote season 1, that was like his life's work was season 1. So he got the show, did it did really well. So HBO was like, hey, you got to follow that up. Like you just have to. But that was his entire life's work was the first season. So that's why I think season 2 kind of flopped, I guess, is the best way to put it.
Yeah, that, and it just wasn't the same. It wasn't the same.
No, not even close.
It wasn't the same story, the same idea. It was totally different. Which is fine. Yeah. Doesn't mean it's bad, but in comparison to the first season,
yeah,
it had a lot to live up to, and people just wanted more of that.
Right. And it couldn't be more different. It was the same in the sense of like big name actors coming onto a TV show. I thought Vince Vaughn in season 2 was great. Like you never see him in that kind of
Rachel
serious.
Adams.
Yeah, another one's great.
We liked
Penguin,
it. We watched
who's Penguin
it,
in the Batman? Will Ferrell. Will Ferrell.
Oh yeah,
the Batman.
Yeah,
I thought he was great in season 2 as well.
Yep.
But yeah, I didn't have the context of watching the first season first. So I think that's probably why I enjoyed it. And I can definitely see now going back and watching it the way that I did.
Dude,
I can see why.
When he was in the Section 8 and they do that one shot like camera round, like, oh dude, God.
So good, man. And that when did that come out?
That was 2014.
2014, yeah. I mean, was the one shot thing was not as popular as it is now.
Oh
right?
No, yeah, it wasn't.
Like, that had to be like a first iteration of it.
Very early.
Yeah.
Thing, especially that because it was like 20 minutes. It was long.
Yeah,
it was a long. It was nonstop. It was nonstop action, and like it's flawless the whole way through.
Yeah. Yeah.
30.
So good. I definitely want to go watch season 3 because I hear that so they kind of adjust.
2014. I'm good.
2014,
Okay.
nice.
Yeah.
I heard they kind of adjusted for season 3, where they knew people didn't like season 2, so they adjusted to be more like season 1 in season 3. And the guy at work said it's good. It's not season 1.
Sure.
But yeah, the direct sequel to season 1 here in season 4 has got me intrigued. And there are definitely, even in the first episode, like you can see the parallels that are coming. So
the problem that, definitely the next 2 seasons had is the problem is because season 1 as a season, as a body of work, like it's not just like a show. It like rewired parts of my brain, like
yeah,
the way I think about things, the way I
yeah,
like
the
reference
way I look at
things,
Louisiana, yeah,
Louisiana, like things I will quote, like I I'm all about the like time is a flat circle
time
thing.
is a
Like
flat
the
circle,
things
yeah,
that he would say, I was like, plus, I mean, I was in college too, and um, I was working on my philosophy minor, so like it like messed so well with my like brain at that
right,
time, and
right,
just like made this. It definitely rewired some stuff, but like that first season is just intense.
yeah.
It's so good.
I'm glad I got through it because yeah, it's great,
And I feel
single.
like,
And you can tell, even knowing, and I don't know if the guy at work is telling the right story, but you can almost see that was his life's work, right? And then
yeah,
they forced him to make a second season, and then that's why we got season 2 out of it.
I figure they would have been better off just not bothering him with it, just like had
Or just
someone
not
else
doing
write it.
it. Or
Yeah,
just
that
not
too.
doing it.
And that's the
Yeah.
thing. Like, it's an anthology. Like, no pressure. But
Right. Right. Right.
it's not like it's bad. But I
So
also
I'm
feel like
in.
that was McConaughey's like first like major modern rebrand before he like
Yeah. Out of the romantic comedy
yeah,
realm that he was in. Yeah, you're right. Yep.
he became all of a sudden he started becoming a very serious
Yeah.
actor.
Yep.
And I have his book on audiobook. I need to finish it, but like
Yeah, there
he's
was
a
a
pretty
guy at
interesting
work that was
character.
listening to that. Does he read it?
He reads it.
He
Yeah.
reads the audiobook. Yeah, he was
Yep.
listening to it at work. Yeah, I
Greenlit.
love Matthew. I love Matthew McConaughey, man. It's just, and it's funny because two totally different roles, obviously, between Interstellar and
Oh yeah.
True Detective, right? But there's still, it almost seems like the same dude sitting there talking, especially when he's talking about the flat circle and all that stuff. Like it's
Yeah.
very, yeah. So I'd be interested to see if that story about the life's work thing is true. And if HBO finally was like, here, why don't we just make a direct sequel to season 1? And we're gonna hide it and make it not seem like it's a direct sequel. We're gonna put it in Alaska, which is really far away from Louisiana, obviously. But yeah, Jodie Foster's great in it. The story that they built in the first episode is really good. But yeah, we can talk more if you ever watch it because I don't want to spoil too much.
I think it's on our schedule for the future. Yeah. We do plan on talking about it on an episode, so we can all. And I gave Mike season 1 on Blu-ray. He watched that a long time ago. I was like, you have to watch it. Yeah, I have HBO. I'm like, you don't need it. I have the Blu-ray.
Here, yeah.
Just don't ruin the.
That's how you got to back him into a corner. You got to back him into a corner. That's what I did with Game of Thrones. I was like, I got you, bro. You don't have to have HBO. Got them all on Blu-ray.
Got them all. Got them all. And like, yeah, that's the thing. HBO has those like archival movies that need to be on a shelf. Like you need to be able to access those at the end of time.
Yeah, you're right.
It goes away.
That's one of them. Yep.
Just post-apocalypse watching season 1 of True Detective. And Game of Thrones. Like it's all you need.
It's all you need. It's all you need.
Cool. Well, got anything else?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to. I have a couple other things.
Playing Pal World.
Are you playing Pal World?
I'm just trying to get our the Showboy server up
and running.
So
gotcha.
Everyone can play together.
Yeah.
In a private.
Yeah.
Multiplayer setting.
Yeah, I'm just patiently waiting for Persona, man. Like this has been over a decade of waiting for this game, and it sucks too at the same time because I waited so long to play Persona 3, right? I was like, I'm just going to wait for they're going to remaster it or remake it in some capacity, especially after Persona 4 Golden came out on the Vita and literally sold consoles for that game. It's
Yeah.
the attach rate for Persona 4 Golden on the Vita, which is like how many people bought a Vita and the game together. The attach rate for that game is like in the 90% or something ridiculous. So it was like the game. So after that, I was like, they're certainly going to go back and remake 3 at some point. And the guy that I worked with at the time was a huge 3 fan. And he's like, you got to play 3. You got to play 3. It's way better. And I waited for years, dude. I waited for literally 10 years. I was like waiting. And there were rumors that there were rumors it was coming. And I just ran out of patience. I got a Steam Deck. I got the ability to basically remaster it myself with mods. And I played through it not like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, maybe, whenever the Steam Deck came out. So that bums me out now knowing that they completely rebuilt it from the ground up. But I think that I'll be okay because of that fact that it's so radically different. It's not a remaster. It's a Persona 5 style remake of it with a lot of added content in. There are these things in Persona games called social links, and it's like hanging out with your buddies, and you rank that up, and then that lets you get more powerful personas, which are like Pokemon, basically adult Pokemon, very, very adult Pokemon, might I say. In all the games, those social link events are not voiced; they're all text dialogues.
Yeah.
So they are fully voiced social links in Persona 3 that's coming out. So I'm like, that's going to add a whole new level to it because you don't have to read it. It's all going to be voice acted. So I think I'll be fine. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see. That's a very close distance of time to play a 120-hour RPG, a year and a half ago. But I think it's so radically different that I should be all right. But what I did want to talk about was I watched Straight Outta Compton the other night. And such a good movie, dude. The way it actually ended up happening was we watched Elvis at work.
Okay.
And great movie. Loved it.
You're on the music biopics.
I am on the music biopics. Yeah, Elvis is great. I absolutely love Elvis. And every time that I do watch one of these biopics, even if it's like an artist that I know literally nothing about, and that would be Elvis, it's still a good movie. So I do need to hit the Elton John one up. That
it's
one
on
was
Netflix.
supposed to be good. Elvis's, yeah.
Elton John, Rocket Man. I don't think I've watched that one either. I think the last one was the Queen one.
The Queen one's good too, yeah. But for my money, dude, Straight Outta Compton is the biopic. Like that's so good, dude.
It's very good movie.
And I do also have like deep emotional ties to NWA, like that. Not that I mean I do too to Queen as well. So, but far more to NWA than Elvis, or I don't even know. I don't. I'm sure I've heard Elvis songs and like in passing, but I couldn't name any of them. But it's still a great movie. But yes, it made me want to go back and watch Straight Outta Compton, and it's just. I love it, dude. I love the fact that Ice Cube's son is playing him in the movie. That's so cool. Just everything that it's just so well done. It really is.
Yeah.
It's the best by a mile.
Great casting. Really, really good. And I think it's a pretty decent balance too. Because obviously Eazy wasn't like his camp wasn't really involved in making it, but I feel like they treated him pretty fair, all intents and purposes. I think they just told the
story,
pretty flat version of the story. They didn't. It's not like they dragged him through the mud or anything like they could have. So but I know his family had issues with it and stuff, but I think that'll always happen.
Yeah, that's always gonna
I thought it was
always
pretty
gonna
fair,
happen.
especially because like it's an Ice Cube and Dr. Dre like
Right.
executive produced movie. I'm like,
Right.
I think they did their boy
I think
good.
they got it. Yeah, I think they got it down. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just great, dude. Everything about it, and the whole scene. My favorite, absolute favorite scene in the movie is when they go, and I can't remember where they're at when they're playing, but the cops
Detroit.
tell them, "Is it Detroit where
Yeah.
the like riot happens?"
Yeah, I'm pretty
So
sure that
good,
was
dude.
Detroit.
Yeah, so
And they have to like
good.
run out of there
Yeah,
and yeah.
yeah, and that just and that scene right there embodies NWA and how they were. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, yeah, that was the that was might have been the first musical biopic that I watched. To be honest with you, and I was like, shit, these are actually because like the ones in the past were not good, but they have become like a hot thing here lately in the past 5-6 years.
Yeah, I was like Walk the Line on Johnny Cash. That came out like
Yeah,
2006, I think. Like that one was
that
good.
one's hot. I didn't watch that one, but
Um
it did win a bunch of awards. Not that
yeah,
that means anything.
and they're like few and far but they were few and far between, but they've been able to like I guess appropriately dramatize them, but also
Yeah.
make them a lot about the music. They definitely have a flavor these days. And if you read about it, like people do take a lot of issue with some liberties they take with stories, especially the Queen biopic.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, the strategy is basically dramatize and show like the energy of like the concerts and the music performances, and then just kind of like doctor up the behind the scenes stuff to make that
Yeah.
a little bit more juicy than maybe it probably was. And that's kind of like their model because they're not like super like by the book accurate. And I think
Right.
that's what people have an issue with, but they're super popular because they're just playing off of the hype of, oh, look, here, the Queen, was it the Queen one or whichever one, like when they go to their, I think like Woodstock and like when they just kind of like hit those big moments. And I think
Oh
Queen
yeah,
was
that's Queen. Yeah, it's not Woodstock. It's the like charity
the
con.
charity
It was
thing
like
for
the biggest.
Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was that was
So
insane.
cool. Yeah, so cool.
Insane.
And I think like my mom like remembers that concert. So because it was like a big ass thing
Yeah.
back in the day.
Nothing else is going on.
But I think like I don't know. Maybe it's just because I have more of a tie to NWA. That's what
Oh,
draws
yeah,
me
for
to that
sure.
movie, maybe more. Because the
Yeah.
other ones, like obviously, I love Queen. I love their music, but I don't have that deep like emotional tie to it like I do NWA. And I was super excited because I also have a very deep nostalgic feeling for Tupac as well. And
Yeah.
it seemed like they were
Did that come
leading
out?
into that at the end of the movie. So it did. There was a Tupac biopic. I haven't watched it, but it
Yeah.
seemed like they like Dr. Dre, whoever did Straight Outta Compton was going to do a sequel
Yeah.
for Tupac because he's at the end of the movie, and it seemed like that's where they were going. And that's not the direction that the Tupac biopic took.
No.
I don't think, and it didn't seem like it
That
was
was the
very
same way
popular.
that was the same way that Walk the Line had Elvis in it, in the early days of Johnny Cash's career. Like
Yeah,
they did tours, not tours, but like they played in a lot of the same
yeah.
places.
Elvis
But yeah,
is
NWA, that was just because that was critical to Dr. Dre's story and his involvement with like Suge Knight and everything.
right.
Um
Yeah, I think that Elvis stands out for me because of the way that it's filmed, and you'd have to watch it to see. It's like, dude, like the first hour of that movie, it feels like you're like on an acid trip, literally. Like it's filmed so bizarre. It's like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Like it just it's bizarre. I don't even know how to explain. I've never seen a
that's
movie that
interesting.
does it. It's very
Yeah.
interesting. And then I also didn't know, like, I know nothing about Elvis. Like my family loves Elvis, but I don't. I just don't. Like to me, for our generation, like for me personally, at least, Elvis is like the impersonators in Vegas. You know what I mean? Like that.
Yeah.
When I think of Elvis, that's what I'm thinking of. But yeah, I didn't realize like his story is actually really interesting. Like the way he started and way everything happened and the crap that he went through from the government and from all. I mean, it's a wild story.
My
So you should
grandma's like
definitely
the
check it.
largest Elvis fan.
Really?
Like,
Yeah. That's how my aunt is. Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely got me interested in Rocket Man, because if I can enjoy Elvis, not knowing anything about Elvis in any capacity, I'm sure I could do the same for Rocket Man. And I'm sure Elton John songs are probably a little bit more recognizable to me than Elvis songs are, at least.
Like Rocket Man.
Yeah.
As long as they have him and Eminem's duet at like the Grammys or whatever.
Yeah.
Probably not, but
another have you ever seen Eminem's 8 Mile?
Oh, of course.
Like, oh yeah, dude. I need to go back and watch that movie. I have a funny story from that. So I was not allowed to watch that movie when I was younger. I was like in 6th grade, maybe 7th grade when that movie came out.
Sure.
And my parents would not let me see it. So I actually paid, and I don't even know if I've even told my parents this yet, so they might find out now, but I actually paid a kid at school who had to then pay his mom, because it's an R-rated movie, had to pay his mom to go buy it for me, and then he brought it in, and I was able to get it that way. But yeah, it's been years since I've watched that, so I need to go back and watch 8 Mile.
That movie's so good. I mean, that was incredible, because that was 2002 or 1 when that came out, and that was like right before the Eminem
That's
show.
about right.
And
yeah.
Like, you can't recreate a run like that. And then right after that, you had Get Rich or Die Trying, like in 50 Cent. And then he had his Bulletproof biopic. Is that what it was called?
Yeah.
I mean, that was less of a biopic and more of like the 50 Cent story, like based on the persona of 50 Cent.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, that was the thing, is like the biopics were super far and in between, and they were like really targeted. But lately, in the past like 5-7 years, it definitely seems like they're
picking
trying
up.
to crank those up.
Yeah,
and get them all out there.
They are. And I really should, just for, because
8
I'm
Mile's
sure
not a biopic though. Like,
no,
granted.
it's not. Yeah, I mean, it's not technically a biopic. I think it's heavily influenced by him growing up, but definitely not.
Everyone takes it as a biopic.
Yeah, everybody does.
In everyone's brain, that's what
Eminem's
life
life
was.
Yeah. I probably should go back and watch the Tupac one, just because I feel like nostalgia wise, I'll probably be on board with it. It just didn't get very good reviews, I think. That's what kind of steered me away from it. And I was also bummed that it wasn't the people that did Straight Outta Compton.
Ooh, 18% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah,
that's
rough. Real
all
bad.
Eyes on me.
Real bad. But I'm the most nostalgic for like the West Coast 90s rap. So I'm sure that I'll, that's the music I grew up listening to. So even if it's,
I forgot Notorious came out, but that came out in 2009.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one either. And I actually did not listen to any Biggie songs until about like 3 years ago. Because you were either, back in the day, dude, you were either on one side or the other, and they were radically different. It didn't have anything to do with the feud. The music was just very different.
Yeah, for sure. Because like everyone I grew up with, obviously, like it was a blend of both. But like we definitely had like the Biggie is better kind of people. But like I've never really been like a big like I'm gonna sit around and listen to like Biggie music ever. But I'll sit around and listen to Tupac
all day. Yeah,
for sure.
Day. And did you see? I totally missed that.
Peacock Premium, you can watch All Eyes on Me.
Oh, really? Nice. I'm gonna put it on when we get off here. Did you know that they arrested his murderer
recently?
Yeah, I totally missed it.
I remember that popping up, but I think like people don't believe it. Like, obviously,
he's charged.
Well, no,
He
I
was
mean
charged
like
with his
that
murder.
he didn't actually do it, kind of thing. Like,
So the running theory, and this kind of goes into the Rampart scandal that I was talking about earlier. The running theory for a while, and there's actually a movie that was running off this theory, and I can't remember. It's got Johnny Depp in it. I can't remember the name of it. I'll look it up. It's not a very good movie, but it tells the story of everything that was going on. The running theory was that it was actually the crooked LA cops that killed Biggie to get back at Tupac, to get back for killing Tupac. So,
because the crooked LA cops didn't want Tupac dead.
I think they in the movie it shows them going to one of the these one of the crooked cops' house, and he had like a shrine for Tupac like in his garage and stuff. So I don't know the truth of the story. There's a really good, the same guy that did, it's not Bowling for Columbine. One of those like documentaries. He did a Tupac and Biggie documentary where he dives deep into the LAPD connection to both of the murders. So the running theory for a while was that they were involved in some capacity with either Biggie or Tupac, but that doesn't appear to be the case because they didn't arrest them for it.
Yeah, there's like the whole thing that like Diddy was in on it, and the whole, and obviously Suge Knight is a big complexity there.
Yeah.
That's those are the great mysteries of our modern times that
Right.
like, and at the, I guess, big scale don't matter, but like they are, everyone would love to know, but also I feel like anyone that knows, like they don't want to talk about it.
Right. Yeah. Right. The Johnny Depp movie, the dramatized one, is called City of Lies, and
And it's
then
about,
it
is
is
explicitly
about
about,
it is about the Rampart scandal
okay.
and the Tupac stuff. And if you have you ever heard of the Rampart scandal?
Not in that name, no.
So
But
you'd be,
just,
if you go and read about it, you'd probably notice like there's a
isn't that what
lot
you
of
play in San
references.
Andreas? Isn't that basically like also
Yeah,
based on
yeah,
that?
yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly identical. Yeah, it was a crash. They were called the Crash Team in Los Angeles, and it was the gang unit. It was like community resources against street hoodlums was what Crash stood for. And yeah, crooked. I mean, like murdering people, planning drugs, selling drugs, robbing a bank. One dude robbed a bank, all kinds of crap they were into. And they took down a lot of people with them as well. Like even people, like a lot of people got swept up in the scandal because once all that popped off, the cops that were like drinking on the job, well, now they're getting wrapped into it too because they're taking everybody down, all and anything that's against the rules. So it was a big chunk of people, and it was all right around the LA riots, like all that stuff was going on. I mean, the 90s in LA, man, was crazy shit going on over there.
I mean, yeah, I mean that's the biggest thing about, I think some people don't really appreciate about like rap and hip hop is like it doesn't manifest out of nothingness. Like it isn't just there for the sake of being violent or, incorrect or anything like that. Like it all comes from a source, and the source is like a reality that is very much real.
Right.
So it's not, it's not made up.
Yeah, it's
I used to
exactly
work with
it.
someone where like that was basically like his point. It was like it's not like all that's just exaggerated. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like,
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure
it's
it's
not.
not like,
Yeah, it's definitely not. Like Training Day is not exaggerated. Like that's how these guys were. That's how these cops were. I mean, they
Dr.
were.
Dre was in Training Day. I totally forgot all that. And
Oh
Snoop
yeah,
Dogg. I was watching. I'm
yeah,
like, oh my god, I forgot they were in these.
yeah. And then so City of Lies is the dramatized Johnny Depp movie about the story. And then the documentary is called Biggie and Tupac, which is the documentary that this guy made about. And he actually talks to the cop. I mean, the cop that investigated Tupac's murder, or maybe it was Biggie's murder, one or the other. He is the one that Johnny Depp plays in the movie. his name was Russell Poole, and he was like like the straight laced cop surrounded by all these scumbags.
Yeah. You ever see how did that go? Was it the New York crew were in LA or the other way around at like I don't know if it was the BET Awards. I think it was the BET Awards like in that time. Um but like they were all in one place at the same time, but like the tension is just incredible because
Oh
like
no, yeah,
both sides were in the same place and it was obviously like borderline just like about to blow
yeah.
because
Oh, I bet.
it was so turfed up.
Yeah,
There
that's
and
it.
there's videos of it because I mean it was BET Awards, but like it was all just right there.
Yeah, and that's like, dude, that was the gold, for my money at least, the golden age of rap by a land. Like rap music today, like Brady listens to rap. I'm like, dude, this is
Nice.
awful. Like when rappers stopped shooting each other and started like having Twitter feuds, that's when
Yeah.
rap music went downhill fast.
Yeah, there's a definite evolution in both, you know, the culture of rap music through the ages.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and it definitely it's well, I guess the golden age moves for everyone because obviously like the 90s and like Biggie and Tupac is one element of like a type of golden age, maybe of gangster
Right.
rap. But then like people cite like LL Cool J and like
Yeah.
Grandmaster Flash and all that. And I think every kind of I really think every because I listen to like almost some of the newest stuff. Like I listen to the very new stuff of people that started and were coming out in like 2016 and like
Yeah.
that. So I still listen to like pretty new stuff all the time. And it's just you just have to understand the evolution of the like culture around it and then it makes more sense.
Right.
So like it improves in some aspects, it unimproves in other aspects. So um you know, it's probably good that we don't have Biggie and Tupac situations literally playing out because that
Right.
was feeling like a
It
coast
was
to
getting a
coast like
little, yeah.
culture war.
Yeah,
But
it
at the
was
same
just
time, it evolved from like direct like gang inspired violence
right.
to uh you know now it's more so you know it went from and then like in the 2000s it used to be like gang violence in the 90s and then it became drug dealing in the 2000s and then the 2010s very much became about drug doing
Right.
um
Right. Yeah, that's a
so
great way to put it. Yeah. That is a great way to put it. It's just like for me, so I watched Degrassi a lot when I was a kid. That was
okay
like the show that I loved to watch when I was younger. So like I can't unsee Drake
I know
from the dude in the wheelchair on Degrassi. You know what I mean?
yeah
So it's like just in my mind, like I picture like Drake and Tupac. Like one grew up as a privileged Canadian actor who was on like a high school drama, and the other grew up in the streets of Los Angeles. And I always had more ties to even like through the 2000s, like 50 Cent in the Game. I was
yeah
always more drawn to the Game than I ever was to 50 Cent. I loved 50 Cent, but I always liked the Game stuff. So the West Coast stuff just always jived with me way more. And I feel like
it's fine because you like New York pizza
I love New York pizza, love Southern
and you
California
love New
rap.
York and Spider-Man games and
Yeah.
renditions of New
But I
York.
also love Los Angeles as well. So, I mean, I'm
Yeah.
also highly obsessed with Los Angeles. So, yeah. So, growing up, like, I don't know, maybe it's just we've lost that. Like, is that even a thing anymore? Like, West Coast, East Coast rappers? It's just like not a thing
No,
anymore.
because the other thing that happened in the 2000s, primarily because of the rise of drug dealing inspired stuff, is the rise of like Atlanta. So like Atlanta is since probably like 2005, if not like from Outkast era, like arguably
Yeah.
when it became like the capital of rap and
Right.
hip hop. And it
Right.
still definitely holds that today because they've simply just transformed rap and hip hop into every corner of the mainstream, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so and like they produce the most artists when it comes to like commercially successful. So
it's like the
that kind of
Nashville
really
of
killed
country
it.
music. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the South really kind of really the South, like Nashville to like Atlanta,
Yeah.
really took over like music
Music
somehow.
in general. Yeah. Yeah. But it's like, yeah, I mean, I was super into the West Coast rap stuff when I was a kid, man. And The Game had an album that came out in, it was like right around 50 Cent time. So whenever time he was big, like 2005 maybe. And
50 Cent.
there was like a documentary that The Game did where he went like back to where he like grew up and stuff. And I'm like, shit, bro, like this, I don't even know. Like I'm a young kid. I'm like, I don't even know shit. It couldn't have been 2005 because I would have been in high school, right? So I
I mean,
don't know.
2002, 2003, like
Yeah, it might have
in
been
and
right.
around there.
Yeah, because I was a kid watching it. So, but I was
Oh,
like, man,
I'm pretty sure The Game like still lives in like the hood.
oh yeah, for sure.
He at
Yeah.
least raps about it like that. Like he legit, his mansion is in like the
Oh, I
hood.
believe it. Yeah.
Um, so a
And I'd
lot of
love to
them.
go listen to his new stuff because I haven't really heard if he's even doing stuff. Because I know he was acting. He popped up in a movie I was watching the other. It's a Keanu Reeves crooked cop, L.A. cop movie. Street Kings. He's in Street Kings, and it's just a funny scene where he's like sitting on the couch and he's pouring his 40 into his cereal and eating it. Like, but yeah, I didn't know if he was still rapping or what was going on with him.
I think so. And that's the thing is like a lot of rappers, like they just they not that they like they still release music, like a lot of them.
Yeah,
Like if you look, like you just pick any of them, just look up on like Wikipedia when the last time they released an album was. You'd be surprised at how
yeah, I'm
many,
sure.
even from like the '80s, that are like they
Yeah,
still like quietly just make music.
yeah,
And
because I mean, Dr. Dre released an album not too long ago, 2000. I mean, a couple years ago.
yeah, it was something. It wasn't Detox that everyone wants, but it was something else.
Right, right.
Oh, well, I think it was that. Was it an album or was it the music and album that went with the movie Straight Outta Compton? I can't remember.
No, no. Well, it might have been
No, he
around
had
the.
an album.
No, it
He
might
had
have
an
been
album.
around the
He
same
had an
time.
album. He did.
Yeah, he definitely did because I listened to it and he's another one that I obviously love. And I did not like his new album, to be honest. It felt like he was modernizing his
Yeah,
music. You know what I mean? Which is fine. It's just not the Dr. Dre I'm looking for.
that's right.
All right,
Classic.
wow, we went all over the place. Japan, ramen, rap music.
But yeah, thanks for tuning in. Listen to me and Chad talk about a myriad of topics across the board, and
I
we
think
have
we need more of
defunct.
this, man. This was fun. Just
Yeah, I think. And
unhinged.
you listen to music apparently. See,
I
the joke is
do.
that you don't. But here
It's
you
so
come.
funny. So I definitely listen to music. I just don't. I can't talk music all that well.
Yeah,
Like the nitty gritty of music. Like I don't have that kind of an emotional tie to it. Um, and I'm like super equal opportunity with my music too. Like I'll listen to gangster rap, I'll listen to country, I'll listen to heavy
yeah.
metal, I'll listen to pretty much anything that comes on and it
I'm
is
an
a
equal
song. I'll listen
opportunity
to it.
listener.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm pretty discriminatory.
yeah.
I'm pretty discriminatory. But in the opposite direction, that is probably normal.
Right.
But anyway, that's it from us tonight. Check out our Patreon. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Definitely want that to happen. When we someday hit 1,000 subscribers, there's a rumor that definitely it would be an OLED Switch, but there's a
It would
chance
definitely be.
it could be something else.
Could be something
We've been
else.
thinking about some like variety options.
Like pick your
Pick
choice.
your handheld device.
Pick your
maybe.
handheld device. Oh
Yeah,
boy, I know what that
we'll see.
means.
We'll see. It's hard because I mean we all have at least one of those devices.
Right, it's true. Yeah.
So we're fans of them.
Yep.
But man, what is I think after this next week's episode, we will be not us. It'll be a Mike and a lovely ugly kid Joe Cross talking about Pal World, because early access is out. It has swept the Steam and Game Pass channels. That's half of what my friends list is always playing. There's 3 people playing it right now. So Joe and Mike will be here next week to talk about Pal World, and maybe by then we'll have a dedicated Showboy server up and running. I think I know how to fix it. But I'm not looking forward to it. I told Mike, I was like, it's like working on a car. You go to do this networking thing with what you want to do in mind, but along the way, 3 other things are going to break.
Things go wrong. Yep.
And things are going to go wrong, and I'm going to get really upset. So look forward to an update from me on that. But until next time, have a wonderful evening. Boost your internet.
My internet?
Yeah, you're a little fuzzy.
Supposed to go down there and like pep talk it? Like, come on, bro. What are you doing?
You've been boosted.
Dude, I don't even begin to understand what the hell goes on with the internet here or where it goes, because our speeds are like through the roof. So what's the fucking problem here? Is it just
probably have some like criminal enterprise in the neighborhood, just sucking down bandwidth?